So a lot of people I know have been asking me, what is compassionate inquiry? And so in this video today, instead of telling you how you could heal from compassionate inquiry, I wanted to tell a little bit about how I've healed through this modality. First of all, what is compassionate inquiry? Well, it's a psychotherapeutic approach that was developed by Dr. Gabor Mate. So by the end of this video, you will have 4 ways in which compassionate inquiry healed my life. I'm definitely saving the best for last, so the place in my life where there was the biggest healing. So make sure you watch this video to the end because you don't want to miss out. For the best healing technologies and advice, subscribe to my channel below and make sure to hit that bell if you want to be notified anytime I make a new video, which is every Tuesday. So I've worked in mental health and addictions coming on 6 years now, and I've also completed Dr. Gabor Mate's Compassionate Inquiry online training. Many of my clients have benefited hugely from compassionate inquiry. So what compassionate inquiry does is that it gets to the root core of the issue. It takes something that's in the present and is able to inquire back into the past and look at childhood memories and difficulties or childhood trauma and see the core belief systems that were connected to this and how adaptations of the personality were developed and also coping mechanisms. So ultimately what compassionate inquiry does is that it gets to the root core issue. And most of my clients have had huge breakthroughs after only 1 or 2 sessions. And this is unheard of these days with mainstream counseling and other healing technologies. It usually takes longer than that to really have breakthroughs the way that I'm seeing them with my clients. If you'd like to learn more information, you can check out my Instagram page where I blog on this subject, and you can also check out my website and take a look at my client testimonials. Both of the links are in the description below. So if you struggle with wanting to have more self-love and more compassion for yourself, if you struggle with autoimmune disorders or any health issues, if you struggle with people-pleasing, doing everything for everyone else and not for yourself, and then also childhood trauma, then this is the video for you. I live for transformation and growth and healing, and I'm really excited to tell you guys about my healing journey. Number 1. I healed my symptoms from my autoimmune disorder. So I know I said I was saving the best for last, but this one's a pretty big deal to me. So I struggled with an autoimmune disorder. I got diagnosed 3 years before I started compassionate inquiry. And my symptoms were that I was incredibly exhausted, but very, very hyper, because the autoimmune is actually to do within my thyroid. And so I was always jittery and hyper feeling, and I couldn't sleep because of this. And so I was never rested, and it didn't matter how much I slept. I was exhausted all the time. I had this feeling of being burnt out, and it was getting to the point where I was in a deep depression because of it and massive anxiety. So how did compassionate inquiry heal my symptoms? Well, I always knew that autoimmune was based on emotional aspects, and I had an idea of where those might be and what that was from in the past, but I could never quite put my finger on it. What compassionate inquiry allowed me to do was to completely hone in on the past trauma that was linked to my autoimmune. It also shows your core belief systems that are attached to this, and also coping mechanisms and adaptations of your personality because of this trauma. So I was able to see all of this and connect the dots and really start to make changes in my life that would hopefully allow my autoimmune to take a step back, where my body didn't need to attack itself anymore. So I'm so excited to tell you that honestly, after doing compassionate inquiry for about 6 months, I started to notice massive changes because I was changing my patterns. I was able to see where I had blocks and that were contributing to my health issues. And so honestly, today I have no symptoms left. I am still on medication, but I hope to be getting off of it soon. For me, not to have symptoms is huge. I went through struggles and symptoms every day for years, and it was really, really hard every day to even get up and go to work. And now I feel like I am incredibly healthy and thriving and excited for the day instead of dreading the day. And so now we'll move on to number 2, which is that I saw that I had people pleasing as a coping mechanism. And I didn't know this for a long time. So I didn't find this out until I did compassionate inquiry and did sessions and really went within. So I always knew that I had a core belief system that was attached to not feeling good enough. And so I had known that for years, but what compassionate inquiry did was it allowed me to connect to that core belief system and see what my coping mechanisms were that I developed through this and adaptations of my personality and how they were affecting my present life. And I didn't have that before. So I was super grateful that CI exposed these aspects to me of myself. It was incredibly freeing. And see, I never saw that I couldn't say no to people. So how I viewed myself was that I was helping people. If they needed my help, I was there. I felt like I was doing it from the goodness of my heart. But when it actually came down to it, what CI showed me was that it was actually a coping mechanism developed because I wanted to be accepted by people. And so this was at an unconscious level, and CI allowed me to make that conscious. So this was one of the core coping mechanisms that I developed that was actually hugely impacting me in my autoimmune disorder. This part of myself where I needed to people please, I was able to build a relationship with it and really be able to navigate that and start to say no to people. And of course, I didn't realize how hard this really was for me. So this was a really strong practice for me to implement into my life. So I just want to say that understanding this coping mechanism of people pleasing changed my health. I was no longer burnt out anymore. And by honoring your truth and honoring yourself, you just begin to shift. And CI taught me the tools I needed to be able to do that. So number 3, I began to be even more compassionate with myself than I was, and I was able to see where I lacked self-love and where I was uncompassionate to myself in certain areas of my life. So if you're wanting to have more self-compassion and self-love and you're in that journey back to yourself, I would highly recommend compassionate inquiry. And so working in addictions and mental health for coming into 6 years now and working one-on-one with people and in groups as well, one of my biggest strengths is my compassion for my clients. And I've also been on a journey for the last 10 years, my own healing journey, and really coming to a place of self-love and having more compassion for myself because I used to beat myself up a lot. And I wanted to really move away from that and do things in a new way. When I was able to see that, wow, I lack compassion in this area and I lack compassion in this area, and oh my goodness, I'm beating myself up over here, when I really didn't think that I beat myself up anymore. And I wasn't able to see these aspects where I could give myself some more love. What CI teaches is it is called compassionate inquiry. So it's about compassion for the other and compassion for yourself. And so what CI gave me was that I have a greater sense of compassion for myself. And when you can have more self-love, you love others even more. you're able to really empathize with them on a greater level. And that's what this has given to me. So it's not only helped me with my own self-love and compassion, it's really helped me to connect even deeper with my clients. So I would love to hear from you. Where in your life do you feel that you lack compassion, or where you wish you could have more self-love? If you can make a comment in the description below, I would love to have a conversation with you. So number 4, last but not least, and I let you know that this one is the greatest healing that I had of compassionate inquiry, and that's why I left it for last. I also left it for last because it is regarding childhood trauma. And so I had something incredibly traumatic happen at the age of 3. And this set me up for really seeing myself in an incorrect way for the majority of my life. And I have been trying to work on this aspect way before compassionate inquiry, but I could never really truly heal this trauma and really the core belief systems that I created from this trauma. So honestly, I had no expectation that I would be able to heal this part because I had tried so much in the past. But the tools that I was given through CI allowed me to go deeper than I had ever gone. And I was able to see things that I had never seen before. And to be honest, this trauma that happened when I was young was quite a bit of a mystery to me. There was a lot of things that were unanswered for me. And compassionate inquiry allowed me to almost get everything answered for me. It was so incredibly healing. And by the end of my course of compassionate inquiry, where I was working weekly with a practitioner that was doing compassionate inquiry with me, my peers. So by the end of my course in 1 year, I walked away saying, holy crap, I actually healed this aspect. So now you know the 4 key aspects where compassionate inquiry helped me to heal in my life. If you're interested in learning more about compassionate inquiry, or you want to dive into compassionate inquiry, you can book your free online intro session with me today. Just follow the link to my website in the description below. Be sure to check out my next videos on CI and how it can help you to heal. I'm putting out new videos every Tuesday, and be sure to check out the next one coming up next week. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button below and subscribe to my channel.